So for our second neuro rehabilitation technique video, I'm going to still be talking about a stroke client, but I'm going to be using information provided from our NDT theory on therapy to kind of base my intervention and thought process on for him. So my client's name is Dick. He had a right CVA on January 30, so about 5 weeks from his initial interview. He is still experiencing spasticity because his stroke resulted in a hypotonic tone for his arm, and that is meaning that kind of reflects that he's still struggling with endurance. In the previous session, he was taught the importance of making sure that he is bearing weight on his affected leg when walking as well as when standing in order to help prevent asymmetrical posture. It's very important as a therapist to have knowledge regarding the normal posture. So in that session, the therapist worked with him and taught him ways on how to keep his posture more proper to help get that strength back and the endurance back into his leg because of the effect of the stroke. So NDT's goal is to normalize tone, inhibiting the patterns and then facilitating voluntary reactions and voluntary movements. The important goal really that focuses is that we want quality over quantity. So it's very important as we're working in this session that if I see the client doing something incorrectly or even there's room for improvement, to take time to educate them as long as it's in a safe situation. Otherwise get them out of it and then educate them. But educate them and make sure that they understand why we're correcting them and making sure that they're doing it correctly so that their treatment process can go as smoothly as possible and get them the best outcome. So for Dick, in his original interview, he made 2 comments known about things he really would like to accomplish. Things are really hard for him to accomplish at home because of his endurance is just not where it used to be. It takes a very long time for him to complete certain tasks for work and just activities at home. So for my session, I am going to possibly we could start with a preparatory exercise and working with associated movements. Have him maybe just do a simple movement with his unaffected right arm, maybe reach for an object or just touch a square of paper, and have his affected arm also on the countertop with his right arm, and watch for any movements and encourage him to really think about moving that affected arm. And even you could maybe have him grasp his affected arm that's unaffected and then perform the movement a couple of times just to help really facilitate that tone. And remember that quick movements facilitate low tone better than slow movements. And then during the treatment, also making sure that while we're doing it, watch how he is reacting and make adjustments as it goes along. That way he gets the best experience possible. So I want to work on meal prep and maybe just making like a simple sandwich. So I'd actually have him stand while he's performing this, and since it's really important, previous sessions he was talked about posture and weight bearing, we would incorporate some trunk rotation to really encourage him to weight bear on both legs, as well as bending over maybe to a slightly lower table or even the ground with the help of the therapist, just to keep working with that trunk rotation and weight bearing. So the meal prep, we would just have him unpack the bag with, let's say we'll just make a sandwich, because that you can make that a more difficult task or an easier one with amount of ingredients, or whether or not, if you want it to be super straightforward, just have each thing laid out in front and just have them take it. Or you can have all of the ingredients in a bag and have him unpack the bag and then proceed to make the sandwich. And also in regards to that, encourage proper positioning at all times. And if there's any way, maybe some hand over hand on his hypotonic hand to help grasp certain things, just to help encourage maybe an associated movement or to try to facilitate that tone. So that is what I would do. Also, another thing as a preparatory exercise that I forgot to mention, we could also do the partial weight bear, where we extend his arm completely down and then place it flat on the table and encourage him to shift his weight. So you could actually have him do that in the standing position if the table is at the correct distance. So you actually could have, I can try to do it here. If we have him standing here, place his affected hand on, and then have him lean over the table. Camera might cut my head off, but you can get the point. And lean over the table to really help stretch and encourage that weight bear on the affected arm. So that would be another good preparatory exercise. And yeah, like I said, upgrade or downgrade very easily with how many ingredients on the sandwich, or even if you wanted to add maybe a soup and a sandwich, so just add an extra, take extra part of the meal as well. And if it needs to be shorter, just don't worry about cleanup. If you need it to be a longer intervention, add in cleanup, what that would look like. Where's the trash? That would also incorporate weight bearing and having to bend over most likely if it's in a cupboard of some sort. And yeah, that is what I would do with my intervention for Dick.